Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Jim Codney. I'm the AVP of Medicare Sales here at Prosperity. Also have on the call Ashley Pierce. She's with our product development team. So Ashley's going to help with questions in the background if we need anything. With that, a little housekeeping. If you would, as we go, if you have questions, which some of you will, please type those in the chat box, and we will do our best between Ashley and I to answer all your questions. Before we get into the portal and the eApp, again, thank you for joining us. I know with just over a week before AEP, we're all busy, so thank you very much for your time. You know, at Prosperity, we've launched this new Med Supp. We're in 19 states currently. We'll launch a few more right after the first of the year. By the time we're done next year, probably be in 35 to 40 states is our goal. So we're really excited. As you may or may not have seen, we've got market leading rates in almost every place we're at. So it's really exciting, and we've got a really, really good agent incentive going on right now. For all underwritten applications, we're paying a $175 incentive, and there's no minimums on that. And that goes through the end of this calendar year. So with that, again, I'm going to get going. And if you have questions, just type them in the chat box. So when you get contracted and you come to our portal, this is going to be what it looks like. Now, in interest of full disclosure, this is a staging or a sandbox version, so I can play around in it without actually submitting an app. You may see slight delays that aren't optimal for us. That's because it's in staging environment. In a live agent environment, there would not be delays that we may or may not see as we're on this call. So once you come here, you're just going to click on the agent login and log in, and let me see here, sorry. Give me 1 second and I will log in. And this takes us into the agent portal. So before we get into the app, which will take up the majority of our time on the webinar today, I just want to show you a few things, a few little tidbits of where to go for certain things. First of all, as you see this navigation bar across the top of my screen, all these are also duplicated down here in the body of the portal. So if you like a navigation bar and like to go that way, no problem. If you choose to just go through here, which I tend to do, either way, it gets you to the same place. It's a duplication. A few things. So if you're going to, if you're contracted with us, we send you emails that say, sometimes let's say you have a message, please check your message center. So your message center, if you have any communications from us, whether it's a new business outstanding requirement, could be contracting, it could be a bunch of different things. So you would go in message center to check out any messages. Commissions, you're going to come over to earnings here. One thing to note, that's going to redirect you back to Benchmark, which is our contracting vendor. So you're going to need to log in back with your login through Benchmark. So don't discard that once you get contracted. Inquiries, that's pretty simple. You can do application inquiries, policy inquiries. Those two you may end up using quite a bit as you're through this. And then with document, you can look at on document management, all your state-specific forms and documents. So I'll click to give you an idea of what that'll look like. Now, again, there is a slight delay here because we're in staging mode. when you're in production mode, writing for yourself, you won't get near this long of delay. But as you see, that didn't take too long, and it brings up the states where we have product. And let's say you want to get information on Arizona products, you would just click the plus by Arizona, and all those come up. So really simple there. And then also supply requisition. So supply requisition is if you want us to print and mail you supplies. One thing to note, you will be redirected to our vendor for supplies. So it is bison, like the buffalo bison printing. And so you will need to, if you haven't yet created a login for that, you'll need to create a separate login for the bison. But you can upload documents also here, really simple to do. So if you need to upload any documents, you could just click in add new documents. When you do that, it's going to bring you to this screen, and you're going to pick where you want it to go, new business, customer service, or commissions. Put the policy number and the insured's name, and you will upload the documents, and then those go right to us. So pretty simple with that. And then reporting. I love reporting. Yes, Ashley.
On the document upload, this did come up on our last webinar, so I thought that it would be a good idea to point that out here too. The document upload section is only to be used right now for policies that have already been submitted. We do not encourage, they're not going to be picked up from this section. Do not submit, and if you take a paper application, please do not try to upload it to Prosperity through the document center here. You do need to either mail or fax it in per the fax cover sheet. So yeah, I just want to make sure that agents don't think that maybe the application can get into the system quicker if they try to use the document upload feature. So.
Great point. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, so the document upload is absolutely not for a fresh new application to be uploaded. We've actually had some agents try that in the past, and they get lost. They go into the ether because there's not a policy number or anything to attach to them. So no, great call out, Ashley. I appreciate that. And then last but not least, before we get into the eApp demo, reporting. So, you know, I like to know where I'm at when I sell, where I'm at sales wise. So this gives you several different options. I like to download the production detail CSV file for my business, and what that does is it puts it in the CSV file. Now, if you're like me and you aren't super tech savvy, no problem. What I do with this is I save this on my computer in an Excel workbook format, and then it's just like any other Excel file. You can sort it how you want. You can look at all your business. It's a great way to check your business, and so that's available here in the bottom, or again, because it's duplicated, right here at the bottom under reports in the middle of your screen. So that gives you a rough idea. You can do anything with our portal that you would typically do with any other carrier portal, check your business, commissions, etc. But now we're going to start and create a new e-application, because this will be a big part of your utilization of the portal, e-applications. Now, I've had people ask me why e-apps, and the answer is really simple. eApps typically come in to a carrier in good order because of the checks that are programmed in the eApp, which means that if your app comes in good order, it gets issued, your customer gets their coverage quicker, and you get paid commissions quicker. So, you know, with paper, totally fine. We'll take paper apps all day if you fax or mail them in. But a lot of time what we find is something little is missed. Sometimes the handwriting isn't as clear. So there's some back and forth with new business to get all that clarified before they can actually process and issue the business. So, you know, when you can, I always suggest you utilize the technology and use the app. So I'm going to pick Texas. It's our biggest state right now. Again, every state we're in, we've got really, really strong, most of the time, market leading rates in. I just picked Texas just because. So we'll just type in some basic name here. For date of birth, I'm going to use 9/1 of 1953, and we can choose male or female, whichever we prefer. And so as is obvious for a sample, I'm just going to put some very basic information in here, just so we can have it for the eApp demonstration. So again, I chose El Paso, Texas. If your system does what mine does and sort of saves in your cache, sometimes that can be a little frustrating, but it works pretty easy to just correct it as I just did. Now, once we get in here, I'm going to show you the navigation bar now that pops up on the left side of our screen. So this can be used to go back and forth. So if you realize, oh shoot, I need to update the coverage or put in payment information, etc., you can navigate over on the left of your screen. And one thing you'll see here is right now there's 74 things that need to be answered before this is in good order. So again, as we go, what you'll do is as we change pages, you'll see this number start to decrease. So let's say we just pick an 11/1 effective date, and let's choose Plan F. One thing I do want all of you to know is we've got a really strong Plan F rate as well in the markets. I know sometimes people have been leaning just to new business and selling G or even N, but if you have people on Plan F and they can move through underwriting, we've got really, really strong Plan F rates. So take a look at those. It may give you a good option for some of your current customers or some new customers that you run into. So we're going to put yes for Part A. Sorry, clicked in the wrong screen here. And yes for Part B. I'm just throwing in dates here, so it will let us move forward. And we're going to say we have not enrolled in Part B more than once. So pretty standard here. I'm going to put in a fake Medicare number. Obviously, this is the number that your client would have on their Medicare card. And then you would just put in a fake, so you'd put in a real social. Sorry, I'll put in a fake social. And we will say it's not guarantee issue because I want to show you the underwriting questions. Now, if it was GI, all you would do is you'd put yes, it is guarantee issue, and then you'd have to answer those questions. So one thing I want to show you is we just knocked out a bunch of open items. We went from 74 to 23, and now we're going to start the health questions. The other thing is your agent number is going to be at the top. Your monthly premium is going to be here with the effective date, the plan, etc. So you're going to learn that. But let's say I had a mistake in the coverage screen and I wanted to go back. I could go back here, no problem. One thing I need to do, and I apologize about this, is change my Part A and Part B effective dates because they're so recent. They show I'm eligible for open enrollment, which I don't want to be. All right, so now we move to health and medical questions. Again, notice the monthly premium at the top. This is going to default to the lowest premium available, which right now is our preferred premium. Again, keep in mind this is a Plan F premium because of the quote we're doing. If you were doing GRN, obviously that'd be different. We have 3 different rating tiers. We have preferred and standard, and then we have tobacco. Preferred is for your healthy people that have no problem answering, the underwriting questions. Standard, they might have 1 or 2 small little issues in their health history, but still be able to pass underwriting. And then tobacco use. Now, one thing I want to let you know is don't stress on whether or not your client's going to get a preferred or standard rate. Those rates are very similar. In a lot of cases, $1, $2 a month difference. So it's not going to make a substantial difference in your client's rate or their ability to pay for it. So we'll go ahead and answer no to tobacco. We'll put 6 feet and 190 pounds. Oh, I'm sorry, 190 inches and 190 pounds here. And now we're going to answer these questions. So these are knockout questions. As you see here, it says if you answer yes to any question, coverage is not available. So we're going to answer no to these, but obviously as you're going through with your client, you're going to ask every question. But just for our purposes, we're going to assume this client doesn't have any of these issues that would exclude them from our coverage. That way we can move on. And as you're looking, if you're reading these questions, they're standard questions, standard knockouts that you would see in pretty much every carrier you would write MedSupp with out in the market. And now you're going to see these are the questions that could pivot your client from either preferred or standard. So if they answer yes, they may be eligible for standard rates. If they answered no, they're going to get preferred. So we're going to go ahead and answer no, but then I'm going to come back and show you the difference between a preferred and standard rate in just a moment. So again, you would go through and ask every one of these questions verbatim to your client, and then go from here. And then we're going to go ahead and click no to the drug question and move forward. Obviously, you see the option to put in notes here. So as you see, our premium is still $111.34. Now let's say we realize that we didn't answer something correctly, and in this section we needed to put yes. Maybe they needed to, maybe they have diabetes, we could answer some of these questions, etc. That one's a deeper question, but so we'll just choose the implanted cardiac pacemaker, and let's see, as you see, the premium changed. It went from preferred to standard. Again, that went from $111 and some change to only $112.47 a month. So as I said, don't fret. That is such a nominal premium difference. It should not make a difference, in general to your clients. Obviously, we want them to get the best rate possible, but as long as you let them know that as you go, their answer could change their rate, that's pretty standard. Now, if we went back all the way here, and now their tobacco will show you that that also causes a difference. So that went from 112 to 123. So still not horrible, about $11 and some change a month for tobacco, but we are going to say no in tobacco. And we're going to go back down here and correct this again and say, no, so our client is squeaky clean. And we're going to go back to, that did not update. I apologize. Let me try that one more time, folks. I apologize. Okay, now we're back to the 11134. Now we're on the premium discount screen. So in most states, in all but about 3 or 4 states of our 19 states we have available, our discount is a live with somebody discount, so, or roommate discount. So all they have to do to qualify for that 7% discount is have somebody the age of 18 or older living in the household with them. I'm going to choose no just for sake of our discussion, but if they did, you'd choose yes, and then you would answer the questions that pop up from that. Now, one thing I want to also show us as we go, again, remember, open items keeps going down as we go. We're going to say this person is not replacing. If they are replacing, it's pretty straightforward. Most of you have done replacements before with clients, but we're going to choose no just because it's a little easier. And now we're already to the payment option. So as you see, if they want to pay monthly, for this scenario, it's $111.34. It's not available for us to direct bill them. They would need to set up a draft or an EFT, whatever we want to call it. But if they do want to pay quarterly, semi-annual, or annual, they choose those, we can bill them, etc. So we're going to move through and just bank draft that. And I want to show you how this works. First of all, as we get down to initial bank draft time. Yeah, Ashley.
Yep. Before we move into the payment method, we do have a couple of questions that I thought now might be a good time to ask.
Absolutely.
Roger asks if there is a mobile app for Prosperity. There is not a mobile app at this time, no. However, as long as you can get online to the IAS portal, the portal or the eApp should function on any of your devices, but there is not a specific mobile app. Another question, a couple of agents have inquired about the household discount. So one question is the percentage, and Mark, it can vary by state. You'll want to refer to either your state availability grid or the underwriting guide for the household discount percentages and rules in each state. There is a section in the underwriting guide that contains that information.
Yeah, most states just...
Go ahead, Jim.
Sorry, Ashley. I was just going to say most states, the household discount is 7%. Not every state, but that's kind of the generic answer. But yeah, absolutely check the state-specific information to make sure that's correct for the state you're going to sell.
And the Prosperity uses the roommate rule, correct?
Yes, that's correct. In all but about 3 or 4 states, again, you're going to want to make sure your state follows that same guideline. If you have questions, you can reach out to us and we'll be able to answer that. Pretty simple, and look up your state. But if you do ask us questions like that or any state-specific questions, please, when you shoot an email to us, that you include what state you're calling about or emailing about.
Thanks, Jim. I think you can keep going.
Okay, no problem.
Actually,
thanks.
We do have one more.
Okay.
Debbie asks if a client quits smoking at a later date, can they be reconsidered for priced in the lower rate?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me check with our underwriters. I am not 100% sure that we'll underwrite that after the fact to check, but I don't mind asking, and Ashley and I will, with that question and any others that I don't know the answer to, we can circle back to this group and everybody attending and share that answer. But I'll find out and we'll get that out to you.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. All right, so now we're in the banking payment screen. As you see, we've chosen the monthly draft, which a lot of our clients do choose. Again, that does need to be bank drafted. And now we're going through some questions, right? So when do we want that first initial bank draft to come? Do they want it on issue or their first effective date? So if we do it on issue, our issuing policies, once they're in good order, typically take 3 or less business days. So today's the 10th, it's Thursday. So, likely next Monday or Tuesday, a case would be issued. Or if the case I wrote had an 11/1 effective date, like in this situation, does the client want to wait till then for their initial? I'm going to say issue date. Again, that's a conversation you would have with your client. And then when do they want subsequent premiums to be drafted? So they could pick the first or third of the month, or they can pick the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month. Now, what those are for Social Security payment drafts. So what we mean by that is if your client is on Social Security, they get paid on either the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month based on the day of the month their birthday is. And they're going to know whether it's second, third, or fourth. If they want, we can actually draft that specific day that they get their Social Security payment deposited in their account. What's nice about that is you don't have to guess, right? You don't have to go, okay, you're the third Wednesday of the month, so if that's, what if the first is a Wednesday, or what if the 8th is a Wednesday, or how many days could it be? And then go, like I used to do, and buffer by a couple days. You can actually pick the third Wednesday, even though that date could be, the 20th or the 18th or different days of the month. It's still going to draft on that third Wednesday. And again, the purpose of this is because that's the day your client's going to get paid their Social Security check. That money will be in their account, and then we're going to draft it. It just helps make sure that money is there if your client needs it, or you could just pick any day of the month. And if you do that, as you see now, it's any day between the first of the month and the 28th. So pretty straightforward. We'll just pick a random Social Security date just for purposes of R, and then we will choose the account holder name, checking, and we will put a generic routing number, and then a bank name here, and then a fake account number. So obviously in production mode, we're going to check routing number and make sure it attaches to the bank name that you put here. And then the client needs to certify that they're an authorized signer on the account and put what the relationship is. So if it's them, just put self. Now, it is important to note, as you see, we put it right here on the bottom of the payment screen, that there will be a one-time $25 policy fee added to their initial premium. So if they're expecting that $111.34, please make sure the first month's going to be $136.34, and that's not an error, but all subsequent months will be $111.34. So pretty straightforward. If you've been doing this for a while, it should be no big deal for you. Now we're down to 12 open items over here on the left. this is just authorization, right? So it's pretty straightforward, but this is one of those authorizations that if they click no, we've got issues. So please, please, please make sure and read this disclosure and authorization to your clients, and hopefully they're going to authorize us. So pretty straightforward. And then this is where you would upload supporting docs. So let's say you need to upload information for to prove open enrollment, or anything like that. Anything you could do, you could just add the document by clicking on this plus button, and it will work very similar to it would have when we were just in the portal. But for our purposes, let's say we don't need to add any documents. And now this is the agent certification. Again, for those of you who've done this, pretty straightforward, right? And I'm just going to say we aren't replacing. Obviously, a lot of times, especially with our rates, we are going to be replacing. But just for ease, I'm going to say we are not. And then I'm just going to give a beautiful JC here and sign it. And now we're getting to the last few things with the app. So delivery options. How does your client want to receive their ID cards, and more importantly, their policy? Our policies can be either delivered electronically or by mail. We're seeing a lot of clients now elect for electronic delivery of the policy, but if your client wants them by mail, no problem. We're going to mail a permanent ID card regardless in a separate mailer. So even if they choose electronically, but they want a hard copy paper ID card, no problem. We can do that. That's what we'll do anyways. And then if you choose by mail, where do we want the policy sent? Do you want it sent to you so you can deliver it, or should we send it to the agent? Whatever works for your business, we're fine with. And then last but not least with signing methods. So we're going through an eApp, right? And so we realize that one method of signing doesn't fit all of our customers. So there's actually 4 different options you can choose from. What locally is for is, let's say you're sitting with your client in the same room, you can hand them the mouse or the touchpad to sign. That's where you use locally. So once you click that and hit continue, it's going to go to your client, and they're going to read a few things and they're going to sign for themselves, just like I did in the agent certification screen previously. If it's remote and they want an email, then you can do that. You can schedule a voice signature, no problem. What I would do is just make sure they're going to be available when you schedule that. Or you can print it and get a wet signature. One thing to note, if you are doing a guarantee issue application, your only option is wet signature. So you have to click on wet signature, print out the application, have your client sign it in ink, wet signature, and then mail or fax it in. We do not accept any electronic signature for guarantee issue. But let's say we're going to do locally. Let's say they're in your office and you're able to do that.
I do want to point out, Jim, regarding the guaranteed issue enrollments and the wet signature. I believe earlier in the eApp process, we were going through the personal and the coverage sections. If the application is deemed to be a GI app, it will tell you at that point in the process that the application, when you get to the end, that you'll have to select wet signature and it will have to be printed and mailed or faxed in. So there's no footnotes there on that section, but it does tell you earlier in the eApp process.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. And now, as you see, there was nothing open down here. Although that counter has gone to 0. So now we're to the handoff because, again, in this scenario, you're in the same room. And so you hand the device to the applicant, and it blocks it temporarily. But really, now the applicant is giving basically consent. And they go through, and I'm not going to submit it because my pop-up blocker will block that, but they're going to review all the authorizations, the form, and everything with these review, and then they're going to view the outline of coverage and the guide to the Medicare and You booklet, and then they're going to hit accept review, assuming everything's correct. If they click hand back to agent for corrections, maybe they were looking through the application or the bank authorization form. Let's say you typed in their routing number and you transposed a digit, no problem. They'll hand it back to you. It's basically going to look like this. And then if it was a payment issue, all you would need to do is click on payment. You'd go down, you'd update anything that needed to be updated. So it's pretty simple. But before you do that, to make a correction, what you're going to have to do is unlock the application. So you cannot correct it down here if you haven't unlocked the application there. So I just unlocked it. As you see, all that came. It was grayed out and just showed you what I had typed in. Now it's white and I can edit. So let's say this was 122. Now I can hit submit, and I apologize, but it took out the bank name. So we'll just drop Chase in there just for fun. And now it goes back to where we were. So really simple. And so that is our eApp in a nutshell. I know if you've not used this before, sometimes these things can be intimidated. I assure you that if you use our eApp once or twice, it's as easy an eApp as I've ever used. And I've been in the business since the late 90s. But we're also here for you. So if you have issues, Ashley and Brian and our product development team are available. The rest of our staff are available. So we're here for you. I'm really excited. I think we've got a great opportunity to have a really strong AEP, especially, again, don't forget, we're doing that agent incentive for underwritten business all the way through the end of the year, $175 per app, no minimum. So that's really sharp. Most of those out there do have a 5-app or a 3-app minimum. But with that, I'm done with the basic walkthrough. Ashley, do we have any other questions, anything we need to answer? And folks, now's a great time if you do have some questions that you have not asked yet.
Hey, thanks, Jim. First thing I want to point out, while Jim went through the entire demo and it goes more in depth, especially in the sections regarding, the medical questions and such, I added into the chat box, I just added a hyperlink to the Digital Agent Kit. The Digital Agent Kit gives you all of your state-specific forms and materials outside of the agent portal, which you can also access within the agent portal. But the Digital Agent Kit also has their an eApp guide. So it will essentially take you through step-by-step what Jim just demoed for you, but in a PDF version that you can follow along at your own pace. So important to note that that is out there. The recording of this webinar, for those of you who registered for the webinar ahead of time, you will receive an email at the end. It usually takes about an hour or so for the recording link to populate, but Zoom will automatically send you will send you an email notification indicating that the recording is available for you to view. Let's see, does iPhone work for email signature? That's a good question. Michael, I assume that you're asking if the client opens up the link through their email from their iPhone, can they sign? I haven't tested that myself. Jim, do you know?
I do not, so I'll find that out. That's a great question. I know sometimes with iOS and everything, if it's regular stuff, there are sometimes some issues. So I'll find out from our IT team if both iPhones and Android phones, if that can be if they can be utilized for this. And again, that's another one that we will follow up with an answer on after the call today.
Can we add iPad to the list? We just got an
agent that I'll find out. I'll find out iPhone, iPad, and Android.
Great. So one more time on the wet signature. A wet signature is going to be required anytime the applicant is in a GI situation, right? Like coming off of group coverage, something like that. So if that is the case and they're in a guaranteed issue period, you can utilize the eApp to get all the way through to the end of the process. But when you reach the end, you'll need to select wet signature. It will prompt you to download a copy of the application, which you can then print and have your client sign. And then you do have to either mail or fax the application to Prosperity to be processed. The voice signature process is slightly different. If you select voice signature, you'll sit with the applicant and you guys will actually schedule a date and time for a call back. The options for available appointment times, if you will display in a drop-down option. So you select the date and time. They will then, there we go. Thanks, Jim. There are a couple of acknowledgments here, of course, that the client has to, you and the client have to acknowledge. The next, I don't know if it's on the next screen. You can click continue.
I think because this is in staging mode, actually, that's not going to pop up to where they pick the day and time.
Okay. So the eApp guide does go into more detail about the voice signature and the steps, and it does show the screens that I'm referencing. They'll select a date and time for a callback. If I'm not mistaken, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, the voice signature team, they will make 3 attempts to reach the client. They will leave a voicemail. On that final attempt, they will leave the client a callback number to try and get the voice signature completed. So you'll definitely want to make sure to convey to your clients that if they select voice signature, they're going to want to either pay attention to those phone calls coming in. If they miss it, make sure they check their voicemail.
Yeah, that's correct, Ashley. To be very frank, of those first 3 options, that's the last one I would personally use. Just because as we see people don't answer calls that they don't recognize, even if it comes at a day and time they've agreed to take a call. So we can absolutely do it that way, but really if you have the option and they aren't across the table from you, if you have the option for the email remotely, then your client gets it in their own time, they do it, and they send it back. But if they choose to do voice signature, we can absolutely do it that way. I believe also when they make attempts, they put those in your messages that we looked at earlier under the message center. So make sure you're checking that as well.
Jim. Diana asked a question about internal replacements and the incentive program. So I'll read the question off for you, Jim, and then you can answer. If an agent wrote an old Prosperity app, when they go to replace it with this new charter, will they receive full commission and the cash bonus for the producer incentive program?
Sure, that's a fair question, and the answer is right now yes to both. With that, just to be very honest, I'm currently reviewing our internal replacement policy. I don't think it's in line or in step with the industry, with that. So we're actively reviewing our internal replacement policy as we're speaking now, and that will change in the future. So not trying to say anything bad, but obviously internal replacements, we want to make sure that we're only doing it in the cases where it's right for the customer and it helps them out. And those policies will change in the future. But yeah, right now, if you wrote an old Prosperity MedSup, it makes sense to change them to the new one. You'll get paid new comp, and you should also be paid, assuming it's underwritten, you should be paid the incentive as well.
Thanks, Jim. If we can go back to the health and medical questions for a second, we have a question about question number 5, and whether or not medication is considered treatment for that question.
Which number 5? They aren't numbered, so if whoever asked could.
I'm reading them to see if I can tell which question
Sure.
you're looking at.
No, I can answer that more in general, based on experience. So for the most part, and we do not live in a black and white world, even with health things, but for the most part, cancer medications and prescriptions are usually considered treatment. Now, if it's not cancer related, it really depends on the medication and what it was prescribed for. So now, if you have, what I would suggest, instead of us having this conversation on the call right now, that if you have a question about a specific client situation, why don't you reach out to us, and I'll work with our underwriters and get you an exact answer for the situation you're talking about.
Thank you, Jim. Let's see, just scrolling through the questions here.
Yeah, well, Ashley's looking through those. I do want to talk a little bit about a few things with our product, and again, appreciate you all being on. We've got great rates, and that's really important to us, but it's also very important for us to be able to maintain those very strong rates in the future. So with that, I'm going to ask you to please be aware of what type of business you're giving us. The better mixes, healthier clients, underwritten cases. What those do typically is they help us keep our rates in line longer, and our rates competitive in the market longer. So if you've looked at CSD, or if you've looked at any sort of rate comparison tool and realized how strong our rates are in the area you sell, and you want that to continue past the first year, please be a responsible partner with us and give us a good, healthy mix of business. The better you are at that, the better we're going to be able at delivering reasonable rate actions in the future and keeping these rates ultra competitive as we move forward. One other thing I do want to bring up, and I don't have a lot of information on it now, but we are also looking at planning an agent incentive trip for 2023. So, you know, on top of our agent incentive of the underwritten app bonus, we are looking at planning a trip. We're hoping to have an announcement here early next year at the latest on where we're going, the qualifications, but I can assure you it'll be somewhere nice and the qualifications will be very fair. So just look forward to that announcement here within the next couple months.
Thanks, Jim. Can we very quickly, we've got about 8 minutes left. One of the agents asked, you know, if a client isn't on any meds and is squeaky clean, will they have to go through a phone interview still? And how long does underwriting typically take? So I think this would be a good part to highlight that, you know, after they submit an application, you know, they're going to get a decision right then and there, and maybe you can take us through that process.
Yeah, no, and that's great. That was sort of going to be how I finished the call, so it's perfect timing. I really appreciate that. So we actually have automated underwriting built into our eApp. So in the scenario that was just described, the client's perfect, right? Height and weight's perfect, answers no to every health question. There's no issues at all. You know, they are going to get what I call a green light through underwriting. You're going to get off the call and you're going to get a note that says your client's been approved. In this scenario, it would be for a 111.34 preferred rate. And you're going to know before they walk out of the office or before you leave their house or get off the phone that they've been approved. All right. Now, if they were also, that could also happen with standard rates. Now, there are a couple scenarios where that's not the pop-up you're going to get if they're a yellow or a red. So a yellow situation would be, we need more information. Maybe they're on what is a dual use prescription, and one of the uses could, they could still get coverage, and one of the uses could be a knockout. And we just need clarity on what that prescription is. So you'll get this policy has been referred to underwriting. And if it's a red or typically a decline, you're going to get the same pop-up or the same message. This policy has been referred to underwriting. The reason you still get that then is we're reviewing to see if there's any possible way we can take that case. Does it fit in? Are we missing something? Can we take that case? Because we assume you wouldn't have taken your client through the time and effort of submitting an app if you knew it shouldn't go, right? So you'll get that same pop-up. Now, to answer the second part of your question, how long does it take to issue an app? Typically, if an app is in good order, so let's say it's a clean eApp, we've got everything we need, it's a green case, you're looking at 2 to 3 business days. But regardless of whether it's green, yellow, or red, if everything's in good order, we have all the information we need. Our time service right now is 3 business days. With that, folks, let's be realistic. AEP is about to hit, and we're going to start getting a lot more business. Those time service standards will grow a little bit, but they should still be reasonable. It should not be for a case in good order that we have everything we need. It shouldn't be several weeks. It may be a week or so at most. If you're having problems, we should be your first reach out, not your last. So if we aren't issuing cases the way they should be issued, and you know it's in good shape and we've got everything we need, give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll look into it and see what's holding that up. And if something weird and it just didn't get issued, we'll take care of it. We'll do what's right. So we want to be a partner in this with you, not just a random insurance company you write some of your business with. I want to earn all your good business, not just 2 cases a year. So we'll do what's right. Just be a good partner for us, and we'll be a good partner for you.
Thanks, Jim. We have one more question. I think all the rest of them have been addressed. There were a couple of you that asked, more so questions specific to your business. So a couple of you I did provide responses to on the side, where I either provided my contact information or asked for yours in order to help you guys out. So make sure you check that before you sign out. But the last question that I have here from Peter is, there's a question on the eApp, likely somewhere around the replacement area. The question is, list any policies the client has been sold. So the ask is that what the agent specifically has sold them or just in general?
Let's look. Sorry, I'm just reading. So this one doesn't say list. So I wonder if it was supporting. Sorry, folks, I'm just going through here and seeing. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take that offline, Ashley, and I'll find it in the eApp, and I'll get an answer. I apologize, I don't know exactly where that question is, but I'll take that as a takeaway. So that's my third question to get answered, and we'll get that. Ashley and our team will get that out to everybody on the call here as soon as we can get those answered.
Thank you, Jim. That wraps up the questions that we're able to answer. We do owe some responses on, other devices and being able to use the eApp and signature features on, Android and Apple products. But the questions have all been addressed.
Okay, and I did find the question. It's under agent certification, and I will get clarity on this. I believe it's that you've sold, but I'll make sure, and we'll get clarity on this and get that out to you. Again, folks, thank you so much. We're really looking forward to a great AEP, and we want to be partners with you. We want to be your go-to carrier. So if you find out we aren't doing something we need to do, as long as it's reasonable, we'll see if we can do it. So just work with us, and we want to work with you and have this a long-term relationship. So I hope you all have a great AEP, and let's have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.